Good morning, CSL. My name is Marina Christopher. I'm playing the bass for you and singing this morning. It's wonderful to be back. And we have Sean Schlogel on the piano. Yes. And since Mr. Jake Steely is not here today, we're going to do some jazz takeover. I'd like to share with you my arrangement of "Oh, What a Beautiful Morning" from Oklahoma. Yeah. One, two, three. There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. The corn is as high as an elephant's eye, and it looks like it's climbing clear up towards the sky. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling, and everything's going my way. All the cattle are standing like statues. All the cattle are standing like statues. They don't turn their head as they see me pass by. But a little brown maverick is winking her eye. Oh, oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling, and everything's going my way. Take it, Sean. All the sounds of the earth are like music. All the sounds of the earth are like music. The breeze is so busy it don't miss a tree. And the weeping old willow is laughing at me. Oh, oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling, and everything's going my way.
So I was listening to this and I thought to myself, you know, this isn't like my grandmother's church. But one of the things that we do that has been done for thousands of years, and long before Christianity, long before Judaism, long before those traditions that we are aware of, is that people would take time to connect to something greater than themselves. Sometimes they called it ancestors, sometimes they called it the earth. Sometimes they thought of spirits, but always something greater. So let's just take a deep breath. and be aware of the beautiful morning. I'm so surprised. This is so Northwest. Yeah, there's a little bit of sun in there somewhere. It also reminds me that the sun is always available, but sometimes we hang out in the fog and we're not quite aware of it. So prayer to me, and is when I allow myself to remember that something is shining and I long for it. And I allow that longing to draw me to it. So I encourage you to do something similar right now. Long for the warmth, for the clarity, for the nourishment. Long for that sense of blessing. For just as the sun always shines, there's something that's always giving. Giving support, giving love, giving information, direction. For God so loves, it gives. And you can call it whatever you like, but it is giving, and that's why people sought it for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. They sought to receive. And so in this moment, if you want to join me, let's join in opening our hearts, our minds, and our consciousness to receive what is ours to receive today. The blessings of the day, the insights of the day, the direction of the day, the blessing of the day. Open, breathe, receive, and so it is.
Try that again. Good morning. Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle. I'm Abigail Shire. I'm a minister here, and my pronouns are she and her, and they are now on my name tag. Yeah. So I'm grateful to welcome you all here today, and I want you to know that no matter how you identify whomever you are, whatever station in life you have, whatever your skin color is, that every single one of you is welcome here. And whether you're online or in person, that you are all part of our greater community. And we are delighted that you are here today to co-create what we call a service. Because this service has been designed especially for you by the Infinite One. And we have shown up to just say yes to you. So I'm so glad you're here. And I want you to know that we have a lot going on in this community, which is wonderful. The only downside to it is that we can't talk about it all on Sunday because we actually want to have great music and a great talk. So there's another way that you can be connected to it, and that is you can check out our connection cards that we have here. Here's the connection card. It's the second, if you look in your seat back pocket, it's the second what do you call it, card down. And you can fill that out and give it to us. And we have a weekly email that not only has all the upcoming events, but also has some great articles in it for your upliftment. So please partake of that. For those of you online, we have a connection card link for you to fill out. In addition, we have a brand new card called a notes card. So if you are here in person and you want to take some notes, we have conveniently given you a lovely piece of paper for you to do that with. And so I want to say welcome for all of you who are here. Welcome if you're here for the first time. Anybody with a name tag would be delighted to talk to you about what we're up to. So please don't hesitate to ask us questions. We have a live moderator who is also available to help you. And we love it when people online tell us where you're logging in from, because it's really cool to see how global and international our community is, including all of you in Seattle who decided to just take us with you wherever you are, drinking your coffee, going on your walks, or just hanging out with your family and having all of us in your living room. I'm really glad you're here, and so welcome home. And I'm going to turn this over to Marina and Sean. Thank you so much.
When you're smiling, when you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you. When you're laughing, when you're laughing, the sun comes shining through. But when you're crying, oh, you bring on the rain, which is great. Stop your heart sighing. Come on, get happy again. Keep on smiling. 'Cause when you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you. When you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you. But when you're laughing, just like that, you did it, yeah. Oh, the sun comes shining through. When you're crying, oh, you bring on the rain. Stop your sighing. Come on, get happy again. Oh, keep on smiling. Because when you're smiling, the whole world smiles with the whole world, laughs with the whole world, smiles with. When you're smiling, when you're smiling, when you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you. Oh, when you're smiling, when you're smiling, when you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you. Hallelujah. When you're smiling, when you're smiling, when you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you. Yes, it does. When you're smiling, when you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you.
Has anybody told you you have a voice like honey? It's just so, well, I mean, doesn't it sound smooth and rich? Hot chocolate, that's it. Okay. Well, I was just talking, it's strange how things show up in your mind, because I was just talking to somebody who did the process that you're going to do in a while, and something told him that he was supposed to give up coffee. He said, "Can I have permission from you to tell God no?" No, you don't. Anyway, so I said, try hot chocolate. So it's still on my mind from the last conversation, and kind of came out again. We have two talks today. Well, one's not a talk, one's just a memory, a recognition of those people who gave their life in service to our country, because that's truly the reason for tomorrow. It's truly the reason for our 3-day weekend. And not only those who gave their life, but also who gave a part of their life. Some people came back not quite as whole as they were in body and mind, and so I recognize those people as well. And I recognize the families that were affected, because what happens to one in a family affects everybody else. I'm grateful that I can get through this without crying, so I can continue on. It was hard, the first service. Yeah, I had an uncle that came back with less of an arm, and I had a brother who came back from a Vietnam War with less than a mind. And I invite all of us to envision a world where it's not necessary anymore, where we learn to talk to each other and have diplomacy. I also recognize those people who serve us in other ways, not just in the armed services, but also the firefighters, the policemen, the medics, those people who risk all for the all. Because what we do for one, we're doing for so many, because it ripples out. So I recognize that. And a long time ago, I think it was actually on a Father's Day, but I had the download while I was driving here on Father's Day. I thought of my father, and as soon as I thought of my father, I knew he knew I was thinking of him. I mean, I just knew it at a visceral, deep level. And so I know that when we reach out and we appreciate, they feel it. It's not in vain. And that's probably the only acknowledgement they need, is just the appreciation for what they gave. So let's just have a moment of silence. And so it is. So this month, besides it ending in Memorial Day weekend, we've been looking at the high and holy yes of the universe. The yes of support for that which we choose to be and the life that we choose to live. And I think we are here to help you choose the life that your heart longs to live. I think we're here to help you choose and to know how to choose to live that life, because I think there's a lot of people that would choose something, but they never quite get there. You probably have friends. You should bring them to church or the center, whatever we want to call ourselves at any time. Anyway, see, we are a center of divine operation, and we are supported in the life that we're committed to living. But sometimes we don't know we're committed to living a certain life. It's unconscious. And so I want to help us become more conscious. I think that's why we gather together, whether it's in this room or we gather together virtually in consciousness. We gather together to remember who and what we are, and that we can make different choices and therefore have different outcomes. Because we just forget. We go on automatic. How many of you go on automatic? How many of you remember every single mile that it took to get here? You got in your car and then you're here. That's called automatic. I go to the grocery store with a list. And then I come home with so much more. Because I went on automatic. That looks good. That looks good. May not eat it, but man, that was nice. Nicely packaged and right in front of me. It's a sign. Actually, I talked about a sign. How many of you have had those signs? You know, like, well, here I am in front of the ice cream. Must be a sign. Anyway. So to help you be in alignment with the high and holy yes of the universe, there are some steps, and I want to share those steps. And so take out, if you choose, if you want these steps in front of you, because we're always doing these steps. I've been doing these steps sometimes consciously, sometimes accidentally, sometimes on purpose. For 50 years, I figured it out, it's been 50 years. When I first got into this kind of philosophy and thinking. And I've been doing these things over and over again. Now, not always because I wanted to. Sometimes I felt like I was in a corner and backed into these things. But they do work. 4 steps. Number 1. Use your creative ability and what I want to talk about creative ability is, if we are an expression of the divine and the divine creates, guess what? We are creative. We are creative. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to do arts and crafts. I mean, we actually have a program called Spirituality and Creativity, or Creativity and Spirituality. I don't know, it's on the 3rd Thursday of the month. And it's not about what we call expressive, write it down, paint it, creativity. It's that when we discover our creativity, there's some power to it. I can create. We are creative. So we use our creative ability to declare what our true heart's desire is. What we truly desire. Not what we think we should have. Not what we think would look good on us. Not what our mind wants to fix, because often our mind wants the world to change to please us. But what our heart truly desires. When you're going with your heart, there's power to it, and there's a sense of purpose to it, and there's clarity to it. Jerry Hudson has a saying that I heard from her so many years ago, and I try to go off of it all the time, which is, bless it, change me. Bless them, change me. Bless the situation, change me. Because my mind wants to be comfortable. The universe is in a conspiracy for our benefit, and sometimes our benefit is to grow beyond the situation. To grow beyond it. So, exactly, that's kind of what sometimes I think. But thank you, God, for the commitment to my soul that I continue to grow. Praise God. Number 2, say no to what's not working that gets in the way of your heart's desire, my heart's desire, our heart's desire. Number 3, be mindful. Does your self-talk match the life that you're called to accept? Number 4, do your actions validate your faith in the chosen outcome? That's where I find a lot of people, like I know if they're really committed to the shift, because if they're committed, there's even a small action, there's a small step, there's a small movement. When there's no movement, there's no commitment. So I have to look at myself. Do I really believe? Have I done anything? What steps am I taking? I hope this just came to mind, so This just came to mind, and I'm afraid I will forget it when it comes to time to talk about number 4. But number 1 and 2, we talked about last week. I talked about last week. Hopefully you listened. If you didn't, that's okay. It's on YouTube. It's free. Go back and get familiar with steps 1 and 2. But I'll tell you about 4. I'll tell you about steps. There was a time when mortgages were loosey-goosey. How many remember loosey-goosey mortgages? Where you could just practically call up and get a mortgage. Did you do that too? I called up and got a mortgage for a big bunch of house. I actually just called a guy and he gave me a mortgage. I mean, truly. This is why Washington Mutual failed, by the way. But anyway, so with Washington Mutual, I had a guy, I'd call him up, I'd get a mortgage, I got a second on a house. I mean, woo, wow. So I got this mortgage. And he says, oh, you can make the payment because we'll just do interest only. Yeah, I know. Which made it affordable to me because it was a bigger house than I could handle. And I bought it because Tim and I would be getting married. He'd sell his house eventually. By the way, it took forever to get, that was another story. It was a miracle he didn't sell his house. Everyone was selling their houses except for Tim. So I was stuck with the mortgage. And finally, I just said, I know better. This is not good for me. Because this is just not, people that know that's not a good thing. And so finally, I was praying that I would always have the money to make that mortgage and that I'd make the full mortgage. And I had to eventually just step out and made the full mortgage. It's amazing how the money came in to help me pay that mortgage once I finally committed that I can pay the whole amount. Weird. The money didn't come in until I made the step. I'd prayed and people had prayed, and then finally I made the commitment. The money came in, Tim sold his house, and then we could put both incomes into the house mortgage payment. That's what the kind of thing I'm talking about. Eventually, you've got to make a step. You've got to say, I trust the universe. I can do this. That's my embarrassing mortgage story. Let's go on. Let's really dive into steps 3 and 4, although I've told you a little bit about 4, so let's talk about the rest. The song last week, it was really catchy. It was, yes, I can, can. I know I can, yes, I can. Well, you also have to say, yes, I will, will. Yes, I will, yes, I will. Not I just can, I will. Some people can, but they won't. That's that step thing. Now, here's the very important part of that. Your can and your will is wimpy if you don't follow it up with I am. Because if you have an underlying platform that you live off of, where I am not good enough, I'm not able, I'm not worthy, I'm not enough, then your can and your will are wimpy. You don't have the foundation to spring off of. See, eventually, not only can I say, I can pay this mortgage, I will pay this mortgage, I am abundant enough to handle the mortgage. The I am has to be addressed. We have undercover thoughts. I mean, really, they're undercover. They're sneaky. They wear disguises. They blend in with the background. They're part of a pattern that we don't notice because we're so used to them that they're running things and they affect the I am that we think we are. Now, I want to share a little bit about how to uncover them and what to do about them. First of all, if you're diligent in your spiritual practice, they may disappear. But you have to be diligent in your practice. You have to say to yourself, what am I telling myself? What is keeping me from doing this? What must I really believe? But that takes some real spiritual diligence and self-mastery. It's not easy on our own. That's why I really promote sanghas and groups that are truthful with us. Friends that are truthful with us. That let us download like crazy and then say, well, what's going on internally? What do you think is happening here? In a very loving way. I had a conversation, sort of a one-way conversation with another minister on WhatsApp yesterday, and they had a beef. And they beefed, 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 and I just listened, kind of, yeah, I understand, blah. Something has happened to me, you know, like, but eventually they got to the bottom, and they said, thank you for listening, I'm over it now. But perhaps they were over it because I held them as over it. I just knew that there was something they were going through, not something they're stuck in. And they got over it. Sometimes you do need to tell somebody, this is bothering me. But do it to get through it. I also highly suggest divine intervention. You know, when you've looked and you're worked with a prayer practitioner, a spiritual coach, when you've done a lot of things and you're still coming up with the same results, call for a big dose of divine intervention. I love this poem by Hafiz. It's called Beautiful Hands. Oh, by the way, for those of you that are not familiar with Hafiz, he was a Sufi mystic and has some great poetry. The book that I'm quoting from right now is The Subject Tonight is Love. 6 wild and sweet poems. Wild and sweet poems by Hafiz. Beautiful hands. This is the kind of friend you are, and I must insert here what he called God was the friend. You know, the friend, get the book. Some of them are pretty wild poems. Aren't they, Gary? I mean, like, whoa, really? Okay. This is the kind of friend you are. Without making me realize my soul's anguished history, you slip into my house at night, and while I am sleeping, you silently carried away all my suffering and sordid past in your beautiful hands. Sometimes things just shift. If you do your spiritual practice, you'll find yourself not doing what you used to do. I'm not the person I was 10 years ago. I'm not the person I was 20 years ago. I'm not the person I was last week. Because something is shifting. It was Emerson who said this, and I wish I'd said it because it's so beautiful. What you contemplate, you become. What you think about, you become. What you put your attention on will shape you. And when we put our attention on something glorious and wonderful and loving and truthful, we're shifted. And sometimes what will happen is, I will actually say to myself, wow, well, who is this person? There's a part of me that remembers I would have acted differently. Sometimes I'll say, man, that was a judgment opportunity, and I didn't even fall for it. How many of you have, honestly, if you continue to do your practice, you'll notice that you are changed, you're shifted, it happens. It's subtle, it's sweet, it's wonderful. And it's not necessarily working on yourself, it's contemplation. It's not working. It's not, I've got to do this to myself. No, it's for yourself. You just think of God. You pray for God. You pray for other people. You pray to connect. And sometimes it shows up like a shocking download. There's a verse in the Gospel according to Thomas, and it says, "Seek and you shall find, and then you shall be troubled." See, in the other gospel, the main gospel says, "Seek and you shall find." They don't say, "and you shall be troubled." They took that part out. But sometimes if you're seeking a solution and you want to know what's happening, you might be troubled in the fact that you're going to find out how you participated in all this. Shocking! And then it goes on to say, and then you shall rule your world, because you'll take back your power. I think I've told this to some of the people before, but please forgive me, because it's the first time I had my shock, the first shock I ever had. I just got into this program of believing. It is a program. It actually is a program. It's like a program. It's not like you have a revelation and you're done. It's onward going. And anyway, I had gotten into this, and I'd started using these principles, and they were working. I moved from Springfield across the river. Now, Springfield, one kind of population, Eugene's another. I not only crossed the river, I went up into the South Eugene Hills, and I looked across the valley. Brothers and sisters, I was at the top of the hill, and I saw all that was before me, and it was gorgeous. And I had made it. I had doubled my salary in a year. I had an expense account. I went from a clerk to managing a territory of 16 counties. I had an assistant, which was God needed to give me because I'm dyslexic and I can't spell. I was 25 years old, and I had made it, according to Kathy Ann. And so I'm sitting there doing my bills, and I had this shock, because I paid my bills every 2 weeks, because I got paid every 2 weeks, and once again I was broke. I'm broke. I'm like, how am I broke? Like, what? I'm making double the money and I'm broke. What? And then I got it. I created being broke because broke is what I knew. I did well with broke. I managed with broke. I knew I could go to my grandparents' house. They'd feed me and send me home with food, because I didn't have money for food. I was not only no money in the bank, I was, back in the day, youngins don't understand this, but there was a time when you could float checks. Thank you. I was floating checks. I was like, when those checks hit, it's a good thing it was like 3 days later when the check would finally, it was awful. And when I got that I created it, I said to myself, if I can create this, I can create it to be different. I'm going to create having money in the bank. That was new. I don't even think my family experienced that. I came from a family of floaters and maker-buyers, just making it by. And I was like, no, I'm going to create having money in the bank. And I thought, $25. I will be rich if I had $25 at the end of the paycheck. I would pay my bills, I had $25. And then pretty soon it's like I got really risky and went 50. And pretty soon I made it. I had $100 in my checking account. Well, 50 years later, I've got a lot more money in my checking account. But I had to change my idea of myself, the I am that I am. I am enough. I have enough. Sometimes it shows up in the form of a vision. My first time to Egypt, I was in the Holy of Holies of Isis, and in the Isis temple, and I had a vision. I saw myself. I saw Kathy Ann, and I saw what was wrapped around Kathy Ann. And I saw how that belief affected everything Kathy Ann did. I was like Kathy Ann, and how it affected the way people perceived her, how she perceived herself. And I saw how detrimental it was. And I saw that belief being unwound and dropped and offered up. And I'll tell you, I came home and things started to change. Because I am changed. I am changed. In the CSL Facebook page, I am quoted. I guess I said it. Sounded good. I'll take credit for it. I don't remember it, but it's good. The first step to transformation is always awareness, and it's the hardest. because sometimes it's hard to be aware of something we become so familiar with. Just like broke was familiar. That other thing that I don't want to talk about that I discovered, it was familiar. I knew what to do with it. I knew how to handle it. I knew how to cope with that thing. And sometimes it's hard because it requires us to admit we are participating in what's going on. That takes humility, and it can be scary. And yet in the Beatitudes it says, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." Poor in spirit means not so full of yourself. It just means not so full of yourself. It doesn't mean you don't have spirit. It's just that you have a little too much of yourself spirit. So if you really want to change your life and you say, "Show me how," you may be shown how. But like my friend said, he was shown that what he needs to do right now is to give up coffee. And he's like, "Can I have a dispensation to say no to God?" "Yeah, you're going to give up coffee, I guess," as he went off to get a cup of coffee. He said he's not going to do it cold turkey. He's going to do it warm turkey and just, give it up a little bit at a time. We don't know what we're going to be asked to do. But if we have faith, we're going to follow the directions. And the directions will always be for our good, for the universe isn't a conspiracy for our benefit. The universe is a conspiracy for our benefit. So let's pray together. Join me if you choose in this process. First of all, let's breathe into our heart the Holy of Holies within this body temple. The connection where Spirit can most adequately speak. Word of God, speak. And let your heart speak. What is your desire? What's your, not only your deepest desire, but what is the desire for this day, for this week? What does your heart long for? Let it have voice. And now, let that same Spirit that speaks to your heart and reveals your desire, reveals what you long for, let it also show you what you need to say no to. What action gets in the way of the manifestation of that desire? And say no. No, that is not me. No, I won't go there. Someone after first service said that they were in stress because they're moving and they can't sleep. They're rearranging furniture in their dreams, and they're wondering if they can do it all and what they should move and what they shouldn't. And it just got so confusing and stressful. She said, "I eventually sat up and said, 'Oh, holy no.' And I went back and had peaceful sleep." Now allow that sweet wisdom that resides within, that Spirit of truth, that Spirit of love, that Spirit of divinity and direction, reveal to you who you really are and what self-description you need to let go of. What are you outgrowing? What are you called to step out of? Let yourself know. Hallelujah. And now let that same Spirit reveal to you what action to take. Put yourself on the path towards your desire by taking a step. Let yourself know what the step is. And then to yourself, that's the only commitment that really counts. To yourself, commit to take it. And so it is.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. We are the face of God. Please join me. We are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. We are the face of God. I am the face of God. I am the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. I am the face of God. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
Into that being the truth. I mean, this is going to be scary. This is scary. Alert. Trauma alert. Some of you can do it. The rest of you just close your eyes. That's to stand up and look at someone else. I mean, I can see the face of God in you. And you can see the face of God in us. But for those of you that are brave, look at somebody and tell them they are the face of God. Because you know what? Nobody told them that so far today. You are the face of God. For those of you that are shy, just stay there, close your eyes, it'll be over in a minute. You are a part of me.
You are the face of God.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for that beautiful song. You do good work. Ooh. And thank you, all of you that were brave and did that. And thank you for all of you that are a little bit shyer and you put up with it and you didn't leave the room. God bless you. Thank you. I'm telling you, I've had people tell me, there are certain songs we did that we kind of interacted together, and they said, "You do that song, I'm leaving." They did. It's okay. That song, I try to warn people, don't come to church that day. Anyway. So, I just want to tell you, this is, okay, so pick some flyers up on your way. You can talk about this.
Talk about it?
Yes.
It's a very exciting week for me. This Thursday, we have the opening night of a brand new rock musical put on by local artists. I'm in the band. It's an all-women presenting band. And the producer, the director of the show, also did a lot of work for Teachers and Zani, so it's that spirit. We have circus performers, we have amazing singers. But the story came about when the director observed her dear friends trying to meet people and date during the pandemic. And yeah. So really wanted to create a place where people can make connections. So it's about 2/3 musical, 1/3 party game. So if if you were one of those people that if you do that song again, leave. Maybe don't come to the show. But if it sounds good to you, we'd love to see you there. We start on Thursday and we go till June 16th. So you're welcome to take a flyer out there. Thank you, Kathy Ann.
Okay. Life is good. Good stuff happening. But I want to tell you that in a minute, this is, spoiler alert, I am going to ask for a contribution to this community. Why? Because we get by with a little help from our friends. I mean, truly. But before that, not only are wonderful things happening on Thursday, there's a wonderful thing happening today, Sunday, because you call a whole lot of things, but I call it the rock and roll around Green Lake. Yes, with Rose Palmer. So stand up so they'll look for you. You're going to rock and roll around Green Lake. You can join her. Why not? A little activity. Woohoo! So for those of you that have said, I want to be more active, this might be your opportunity to rock and roll. Also, next Sunday is Potluck Sunday because it's the first Sunday of the month. Please bring some wonderful, delicious food. I know you will. I am so grateful for the food that's brought. I mean, really good food. Also, there's a Path to Membership class next week. It's a short class. It'll be offered by Reverend James. And so what is membership? Spoiler alert, you will not get your own parking spot. What you will say is, I believe in this community, I want to be a part of it, I want to be the bedrock for it. I want to be the consciousness so that other people can walk into a place where they're reminded of how beautiful they are. That's what membership is about. So I encourage you to think about that if you've been kind of on the edge. And if you think you're a member, well, then call Heidi and find out for sure. Because a lot of people say, I'm a member. Just coming does not make you a member. Saying I'm a member makes you a member. So and think about that. Also, I love this. CBEC's theme for this year is Heaven is Here, and heaven really is here, but it's fun when you play around with other people who recognize it as well. And it is a heavenly experience. Heavenly. You can sit on the grass. You can rock in rocking chairs on the porch. You can go kayaking with Mike. You can do pickleball. Anyway, whatever. You can do activities, you can take classes, you can do crafts, you can do nothing and they feed you. And it's a beautiful place with the water and the mountains. It's gorgeous. It's really heavenly. I encourage you to think about that because we now are opening up half days or half sessions. So if you can't go to heaven, if you can't do camp for 7 days, you can do them for 3.5. A lot of people do them for 3.5 because that's what they can work into their vacation schedule. So think about that. That's available. More information at the registration table, which is in the lobby. And the last thing that I want to say is that next weekend's big. Next weekend, we will be having the Finney Wood Rainbow Hop. And we will have a booth there. Reverend Andrea will be not heading that up, but kind of facilitating everybody getting together. And this is in celebration. First of all, it's a very family-oriented event celebrating LGBTQ plus individuals and their families in this area. So if that sounds like fun, because it's supposed to be fun, then I encourage you to check out how you can become involved with Andrea, and let's just go have a party with a bunch of people. that's my announcements for the moment. Take a deep breath. And now that thing I warned you about. You can bring up the basket now. Thank you. We have a tradition. For those of you that are new here, we have something that came out of the pandemic. Instead of passing a basket, because that wasn't really a good idea when we were coming out of the pandemic, what we do now is we have people dance up here. And Rose is going to bless the people that come and bless the offering. Oh, but now you know who Rose is that you can rock and roll with. And just make it a celebration of giving. There's a thought that says, if I give, I have less. Where the real truth is, when you give, you always have more. So when I finally took the step to pay the mortgage, the money came in. When I finally started giving, I was given. It's just a wild and wonderful thing. So, bless your gift. Let your heart tell you how much to give, and bring it forward with joy. And so it is. Anybody coming forward?
Hi, my name is Gary. I use the pronouns he and him, they. And as a practitioner here, to utilize the special tools that were outlined this morning, we want to support you as practitioners in prayer, in affirmative prayer, to utilize and to implement those desires that you might have in your heart. So I invite you, if you're here in their sanctuary, we have a prayer circle right here given and facilitated by Rose. We have practitioner cards, prayer request cards that you can insert in our prayer box and get prayer support as well. If you're watching us online, Susan and Ray will support you in prayer as well. For we are a spiritual community who believes in the power of affirmative prayer. A healing and teaching center. So as you've brought your offerings here this morning, I'm reminded of all those dear ones who have come before us in the spiritual community for over a century, who believed in this message. So let's move into this place of prayer. In this moment right here and right now. It was Rumi, the 13th century mystic Sufi poet, who said, "What you seek is seeking you. Take that in. Oh, dear one, what your heart of hearts desires is seeking you. So I give thanks for this spiritual community that creates an oasis for us to remember, to remember. And when we forget in our human experience, perhaps daunted by the narrative of the world or our internal world at the moment, we lean into each other. For the one I love lives inside of you. I lean as close to you as I can. And for this and so much more we give thanks. And so it is.
We're coming to our closing song today. So in tradition, if you would like to come up and dance next to a real bass, that's what Jake would say if he was here. You're welcome to do that. But also singing along is highly encouraged. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let's do it again. This little light